So thank you to everybody who sent us pictures of their pirates yesterday. They were amazing. We've got something, a really gentle one today, so maybe you could put some nice relaxing music on in the background, and we're going to do some cherry blossoms. I absolutely love cherry blossoms. They really raise my spirit at this time of year. You can see that I've even got my cherry blossom top on to celebrate cherry blossoms today. I lived in Japan many years ago, and in cherry blossom time, people would go and sit under the trees and celebrate. It's a really wonderful cultural thing. So that's why there's a really special picture. And I think you're all going to really enjoy this. It looks quite simple, but you can make it look exquisitely beautiful. So let's start drawing. So we're going to do this cherry blossom. The junior one, we've given a really quite simple design to follow. And here I just wanted to give you an option of doing something for some of our older students that you might find a bit more challenging. So here we go. We're going to start with the shape here, which will form the centre of the flower. And then I'm going to put in the shapes for the main flower. So we've got the petals coming in here like that. So each petal we're going to make slightly different size. When you pause it at the guide sheet, it will you'll be able to see and adapt it in whichever way you want. It has, I have to say, been one of the absolute highlights of lockdown for us. Not just for me, but for teachers right around the Little Art School, to be seeing you posting pictures of your work. And we know that our Little Art School students are still painting, which is fabulous. There's been a few that have really taken my breath away. So guys, make sure you take your time on this one and send us your pictures, because I had a feeling when I saw this that you'd really be able to do something quite spectacular with it. So that's that one there. And then for this petal here, let's bring it round and up and down like that. So that's our first petal. And coming out from this leaf here, we've just got a couple of lines. 1, 2. And then if I'd like you to take a stem and sort of curve it slightly. This will be the stem, as if it's the branch that's coming out from the tree. Wider at that side and then coming narrow as it joins in the plant. A couple of little lines here. And then thinking of the shapes, now you'll see it easier when we go in, we do the pause, but you can see it's almost like a little triangle with a shape off and bringing the twigs out. What you can do if you've got access to some blossom is just cut yourself off a tiny branch, as long as you're not going to massively offend anybody by doing it. I'm sure you won't if you explain you're an artist doing a botanical study. Bring it in the house and you can sit and paint it and study it. So that's part 1. If you pause now and you get those first basic shapes. So we're going to start here with this bit and turn it into a little diamond and bring in some edges here. If you feel like you've not left enough room, don't worry, you could just do half a flower here. I'm possibly going to have to cut mine off. So it's like 2 crescent moon shapes coming out, which will form the basis of the flower there. And here I just want you to put in a small bud shape, like that, keeping your pencil movements really low. And here we're going to take that out, pop in some petals. I mean, I like the idea of using this as a guideline so that you can take it off and create a lovely pattern, a beautiful pattern of your own. Cherry blossoms really have inspired artists through the ages, especially in the 19th century when Japan, which is very famous for its cherry blossoms and had been closed as a country for many years, opened up, and the West became obsessed, and Western artists became obsessed with Japanese paintings and Japanese art, which often features cherry blossoms. And Van Gogh has painted some of the most beautiful ones. It is actually one of my favourite paintings, Van Gogh's cherry blossoms. See if you can look it up, and maybe you could, even if you fancied a massive challenge, have a go at that. So I'm putting in this flower here, and I'm going to finish this section by curving that round there and putting in a bud shape by just thinking about the shapes there. 1 and 2. And if you pause now and pop in those shapes. So we're going to put the stamens in, but before we do that, we're just going to finish this one. We've got the bottom half of that leaf there. Is it a leaf? Petal. There we go. So if we join it round like that, and there, pop in a little circle in the middle. Now if you're running out of paper, like I said, don't worry. I'm just going to squeeze this in. And then here, coming up and round. We'll put a little top there. Now from here I want you to go and put in some little stamens coming off. So can you see? Doesn't have to be in each petal, but just a few little wiggly lines with a circle at the end. Now on the guide sheet you'll see it's a little bit shaded. That's just to show you when you go to colour where the twig is, but definitely don't shade it with this pencil. Use your colours for that, I think. Now you could have more than one. Here we go. I'm going to put 2 in that one. I'm going to put 1 coming down into there, and I'm probably going to go for 2 here. And on these ones, I'm just going to put them coming into the top. 1, 2, and then a double one there. With this little bud, just have a think about making it so you've got that shape, and then coming round as if it's a bud just about to go into flower. And same here, just curve it if you feel like it's a little bit too pointed, so it becomes that lovely bud shape. And that is us finished and ready to paint. Now if you've got paints, please just go for it and paint it. If you hold on, I'm going to demonstrate some techniques. And if you don't have paints, just get your pencils, your felt tips, crayons, whatever you've got, and colour it. But please do send them. And if you want to just create this into a Van Gogh style masterpiece of cherry blossoms, we would love to see it. Use these watercolour pencils. I want to show you a little technique of just doing it very gently. Can you see I'm barely putting any of the pencil on there because I really don't want the pencil marks to show in this bit. You'll see what I'm going to do when I do want the pencil marks to show. But I just want a bit of this cerulean blue as a backdrop to the painting. Now, as soon as I take my brush here and begin to turn it, I mean, it's very, very subtle. Can you see? Really subtle. Hardly any at all there, but just to give it, I might go sort of towards the edges. Here we go. I think we've got a dog who wants to join in our painting today. There we go, going up to the edges. I'm not going to my actual cherry blossoms. I'm just going to take a bit of water so that there's no hard edge there. It's really subtle. It's possibly almost impossible to see this on the camera because I've gone so light. So what I will do is in here I'll put a bit more just at this edge because I'll be able to take that down. You watch, can you see? But as I turn it to water, I really don't want any marks there left on the paper. I'm getting it right up, getting the pigment right up, and it's loaded onto my brush. I'm going to take it down with a clean brush then. So if I clean my brush and just take it to the edges. Oh, cherry blossoms and a blue sky. Is there anything more spring-like, really? Maybe Easter eggs. Not sure whether anybody out there had Easter eggs for breakfast. Henry did, but not you, Elizabeth, did you? Elizabeth's far too sensible to eat Easter eggs for breakfast. Oh, yeah. So you can see I'm just taking it in, and then what I'm going to do is go back to the top here and take that blue down. So I'm keeping it very settled. Can you hear our dog wandering around in the background? There we go. And around the edges. So with the watercolour pencils, you can go dark, you can go light, you can really do anything that you want, but the key is this water. There we go. And because I've got plenty of pigment on there, taking it up into my brush. I'll take it around the flowers. Now, I'm going to just give this a minute to dry. It will dry really quickly, and then we'll come on and we will do the flower petals next. Okay, so on the junior one, I just used one brown and one pink, but I'm going to use 2 pinks and 2 browns today, and I'm going to show you how to mingle them in. So I'm going to start by going around the edges of these petals with my pink, and you'll see I'm going to use bits of this, and I'm going to use bits of another pink, second pink in there. I'm just going to start with this one because I want it to dry. I'm not really using much thought behind here. I just want to, you'll see as I turn them to, once I turn them to paint, I just want the idea of this sort of purpley pink and much more pinky pink going in together. So now I'm going to take my brush. Let's see what happens. So if I bring the pink in from there, you see, so it loses the edge and it brings it in, so it's darker on the outside than the inside. And then, oh, that wasn't meant to happen. Then I'm going to do exactly the same on this side here. Now, my blue wasn't completely dry because I was slightly impatient, so some of my paint's gone in. It's really subtle, the difference between the 2 pinks, but they really start to merge in together. Can you see that? And I'm going to do the same here. Bring it in and merge it. I'm just going to do this quickly, but you can really take your time. Now, if you've not got watercolour pencils, but you have got paints, what you could do here is mix yourself 2 washes, one very pinky and one with a touch of blue in, just to give it that purpley tinge. And then from those 2 washes, just gently paint and let the paint just run into each other on each petal. Okay, Elizabeth's laughing because the dog's sighing in the background because he wants us to play instead of paint. Right, okay, so I'm going to do exactly the same here. Go for that purpley bit in half. And then the pink as well. You can see I'm pressing really hard here, and that's just because I want the pigment down on the paper. So here I'm just running them right in together. You can see I'm going over the stamens because when this is dry, I'm going to go in with a dry pencil and no water and just turn those into paint. So you can see the line's still there. It will disappear if I just keep going over it, but I actually want to keep the lines, I want to keep the edges of those petals like that. With this one here, with this bud, I'm just going to go around it like that. And I'll put a bit of purple at the bottom. And the same with that one. Actually, let's keep this one pink. And then I'll turn those. And while I do the last one, and then I'm going to come on to do the stems. Now you really could take this, do absolutely hundreds. You could do a really beautiful design, a design that could be used for anything. That's the art's not just about art. You know, if you're thinking about going to art college, and it's not just about art to become a somebody who sells paintings. You know, design in every area of modern life now is huge, and it's something computers can't do. So building up your design skills and thinking creatively is great. Right, okay, so I'm now going to go over these bits with my burnt umber, which is a dark brown, whilst the pinks are drying. I'll do the same here, coming around, trying but failing not to touch my buds, which I've done. I have to imagine that bits of pink are falling off my cherry tree. And in the centre of that, I'm going to put in a bit of this burnt sienna, just like we did with the pink and the purple. Just makes it more interesting than having one solid block of colour. Making sure my brush is really clean, otherwise it's going to still have the pink pigment on. Now I'll just turn this, bringing in the darks as well. And we'll do that all the way up through the branch. And then I'm going to go into the petals now that they've dried and finish it off with the stamens. I would absolutely love to see what you will produce from this. And I'd be really excited if you go a bit designy and crazy. So using this free time we all unexpectedly have to develop those creative skills. Definitely have a little look out for Van Gogh's cherry blossoms and be inspired by them. Okay, and that's me finished. I really hope you enjoyed that and hope you've created something that's really quite beautiful and graceful. Now, take away from this basic thing that we've started with and go create something magnificent with it. You could draw a cherry tree, you could draw a beautiful scene, you could draw people sitting underneath it having picnics. Really, really, really want to see what you do with this, how far you can take it. So make sure you send us pictures on our Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and we would love to see what you do. Tomorrow's Wednesday. We always try to pull something a little bit special out of the bag for the middle of the week. So make sure you tune in tomorrow to see what we've got for you.